Greetings, Patrick here. Welcome to Eight Questions with. It is a weird sort of day here in southeastern Michigan. We got super hot, still overcast. Don't know how much of that overcast is cloud or from the Canadians, the wildfires over there. It was a little blue out for a while. I went outside and worked on the yard for an hour, but it was hot as hell. And so yeah, I was out there for a little over an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but I definitely could feel it affected me. So into the house we go. Which is really funny because what I use, I have a 12-ounce bottle of ice, it's a drink, and I put water in it and I freeze it, and I put it in my pocket when I work. So it's laying against my leg. It's ice cold as a solid brick of ice. And I always use it I sort of use it to keep myself cool, to regulate my temperature. Hey, Jerry, how are you? Hey, Anthony, how are you? All right. Anthony is almost done with training. That is amazing. And Jerry's here again. Thank you so much. So yeah, so I can't stay out there in that heat for very too long. Um, well, actually nobody can. We've been underneath. It was funny because it said it was only 83, but with the temperature, the factored in, it had to be over 90, and it would felt every centimeter of that. Tonight we're going to be talking with a podcaster from Canada. We're going to be talking with Mike King, who runs the Graveyard Shift podcast. And I have listened. I actually got a heads up on this guest by a good friend. Hey, internet, it's Eric. And he's one that pointed me toward Mike's way, and said, "Hey, he'd be a very interesting guest for you." So I reached out, talked to Mike. What I didn't know, because I guess I just had a brain toot, but I didn't realize till today. Eric probably told me, but Eric had actually been a co-host with Mike on his podcast for about a year, and so I thought that was really interesting. But I listened to some episodes as well. I listened to a Twilight Zone episode. I listened to Night of the Demons, Shark Exorcist. I don't know how the hell they got an hour's worth of coverage on Shark Exorcist. What I'm gonna have to tell him though is, like, I'm listening to him and his co-host Alicia, and they're bringing the heat against Shark Exorcist, and I'm watching them go at it, and I'm like, yeah, but they seem to forget one small thing, and this happens for certain movies, like like Hallmark movies or Shark Exorcist movies, or Dustin Ferguson movies, Louisa Warren movies, but they're bulletproof. They are bulletproof movies. You can sit there and hammer the shit out of them, and they're bulletproof. People are still going to watch them. People are still going to come back. They're going to watch them, come back, and say to you, "I wish I had listened to you." Or even worse, they'll come back and say, "I did listen to you. I still did it anyway." And then they'll tell them, "Hey, I liked it." This is one of those movies where, like a lot of low budget horror movies. There are a lot of low budget horror movies that are bulletproof, that are just, they're so damn bad, but you can't say anything about them because people are still going to dig them. They're just going to climb in there and, like, yeah, I'm all right. Hereditary being an example. That movie blows chow. Everybody knows how I feel about that movie, but it's bulletproof because everybody still likes it. Everybody will still sit there and talk about it, But there you go. Jaws: The Revenge. Whenever you see someone actually sit there and say, "Yeah, I like Superman 4," and you just look at them sideways, like, how the hell can you like something like that? I am not of the belief of this. I am not. I know a lot of filmmakers, a lot of fans will sit there and say, well, at least they made a movie. That doesn't cut it for me as far as critiquing it. Yes, they made a movie. Okay, so you made a movie. But if you're asking me to invest an hour and a half, or in Shark Exorcist's case, 70 minutes, if you're asking your audience to invest time, because that's what they're really doing, they're investing time, right? An hour and a half, maybe in some cases some money. Maybe they're paying, $12 at the Walmart to pick up the movie. Um, and so they're investing money and they're investing time. But if you come out there and you pull out a cocaine cougar, right? And you're asking people to spend money and watch that shit, that's irresponsible for me. And as a critic, even a self-style critic, I'm going to hammer that, whether it be bulletproof or not. And I do admire Mike and Alicia for, in one respect, yeah, they express their opinions about Stark Exorcist. I would say to a lot of people about that, about especially low budget films, not all the time, because really, honestly, I have no desire to talk to certain directors, none at all. If someone called up and said, "Hey, you want to talk to so and so?" I'm going to say, "No, I'm good." I just don't want it. I just don't want to. They don't interest me. Um, but and that might be the case for some movies like Shark Exorcist, where it's like, yeah, we got a chance to talk to Donald Farmer. Um, Donald Farmer he's a gentleman. He might not be the best indie film director, but he's a gentleman, and he's compassionate, and he's launched a lot of artists, he's launched a lot of actors, he's given them their first parts to get some experience underneath their belt. The movies does he make, are they good movies? No, no. And he'd probably be the first to tell you. He no, nobody who's making movies like this, except for Louisa Warren and Dustin Ferguson, are aware that they're making trash movies. They don't go into it. They may know that it's low budget, no budget, indie budget. They may know that, and sometimes they'll have some fun with it. Yeah, we know we don't have the budget for it, but we're still gonna have some fun with it. That's where our director gets an acting troupe that really bonds together, and they can how do we make three eggs, a water, and a mushroom into a beef bourguignon? I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Um, so yeah. Um, uh, hey, what's going on, Meg? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, but podcasts like the Graveyard Shift, um, there are a lot of horror podcasts out there. This is one of the better ones. I really really enjoy listening to Mike and his co-hosts. They're funny, they're witty, um, they have a lot to say. They have a lot to say, uh, and no movie is safe. I'll say that. If I listened to an episode on Swim Fan. Now that was a bigger budget movie that has some stars in it, that has some pop. I remember when that movie came out. It had Jesse Bradford was in it, and Erica Christensen was in it as well. Man, if you ever want to see Christensen do a great job of acting, watch her episode called Signature on Law and Order SVU. It's one of the top 10 episodes of the entire series. That episode is a heartbreaker. Uh that's right. Look who's here. It's our good friend Hob Skellington, also known as the king of the Halloween, the Pumpkin King himself. Hob Skellington in the house. uh welcome in, Hobbs. Hopefully you're doing well, feeling better. Now Chef Boyette, Bournier. It's a French, it's like Julia Childs made it. It's like one of her big old signature dishes with probably a ton of butter in it. Um. So yeah. So So we're going to be talking with Mike here shortly. I'll let you know what's been, oh, thank you for for the people who came out yesterday. I know Jerry Wilson was here yesterday, so if he's still here, I want to say thank you again for hanging around. We had talked to Thor Moreno yesterday, film director Thor Moreno. Man, it was an honor to talk to him, and one of the better shows we've done in a while. My review for his movie When Jack Came Back is now up on my channel. I understand, when we talk about Alzheimer's or dementia, um, I know it's one of the ones, it's one of those topics that people just don't want to talk about it too much, um, you know, not unless they're prodded to. Like Thor says, he's got thousands of comments, and that's amazing, and I'm so happy for it. But it takes sort of like it sort of takes like an action, like him making his movie, to get a reaction from people to talk about the subject, because most people just won't sit there and start talking about it. They just won't. But if you make an excellent movie like When Jack Came Back, you're going to generate that conversation. And I'm glad to say that happened for Thor. Um, I was really surprised. Like I said, I mean, one of the places we go to see how a movie is doing, we go to IMDb. It really was strange how the doorbell has rang, so we'll have to save that thought for a different time. But it is time to bring on a peer, a really fun guy, a guy who loves sharks probably as much as Eric does. Yeah, and we're going to talk all things horror right here, right now, here on Eight Questions With. So help me bring in Mike King. Ta-da! And we're here.
Yay.
Yay. So I was talking a little bit about some of the episodes of The Graveyard Shift. And let me tell you, your name of the podcast never fit better than when you guys were reviewing Shark Exorcist.
I thought you were going to say it was better. It was never better than when we were covering the actual movie, The Graveyard Shift by Stephen King.
I actually remember reading. I actually had that book. That was a good story too. That was a real good story. Hi, Dale. How are you? Welcome up. Welcome in. Yeah, that's a great story. Is that where you got your title for the pod from the collection of short stories?
No, we were just throwing names around, and that was just one of them. To be honest, I didn't know about this movie existing until like my co-host just casually mentioned it, 20 episodes in. And I'm like, what? There's a movie with our name? So
yeah, before that was it's a short story that King wrote, and it's definitely one of the it's early King, so it's really strong and very entertaining. So I didn't actually think about that either. I didn't think that I didn't connect that with Stephen King whatever until you just said that. But yeah, The Graveyard Shift just seems to be a perfect name for a horror podcast.
yeah, it went through a few name changes. At first, it was like The Graveyard Shift, horror with Sheldon and Mike, but then Sheldon left, and I'm like, what the hell? So
maybe you should have went with Sheldon's Ghost.
Yeah. So eventually we settled on the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast because there are like 8 different podcasts called the Graveyard Shift, and one of them is an evangelical podcast. I don't know
Really?
why.
That's hype. Get out there and praise God that there's some devil in the movies that we're watching tonight.
I don't know really why they landed on that until they thought like, well, like the coolest thing about Jesus was, when he rose from the dead. So
yeah, I mean, I was just sitting there thinking about that. I'm going like, thank God it didn't rise up a zombie, because we would have been totally fucked if that would have been the case.
No, Lazarus was the zombie.
Yeah, I guess he could
So
have.
Jesus has command over the life and dead, but he didn't come back as a zombie, which means he was a lich.
Yeah, that's right. He was like an outlier. It's like
necromancer.
Yes. The Bible is full of shit like that, right? I mean, for the
Yeah, there's
for the
supposed to be like
book,
unicorns, dragons, shit like that. Like it's
right? For a book, based on faith and miracles and all that. But man, it has some weird shit.
and
You
they
have
really expect you to
Goliath,
take
who's
it
like,
more. They expect you to take it more seriously than the Greeks with Sisyphus or the Norse with Thor. It's like you had a talking donkey and like
yeah,
people like turning into salt pillars and us and
yeah.
us. The global flood
I
is the
like
best.
the one that gets me the most is the fact that according to what the Bible is, that we're all children of incest.
Yeah,
We're
just
all
one
we're all
couple,
we're all yeah.
and
All of us can be traced down to Eve.
yeah, and they never talk about who the girls were. Did everyone
There
just
was
bang
no
Eve?
girls. It was just like, okay, I had two sons and that's it. And then
One of them
the
killed the
sons
other.
got to be a little bit frosty at 14 or 15. They're going like, yo, Adam, man, why don't you take a walk around the lake?
It's like, all right, who has to bang mom? I don't know. Let's go fight it out in
I
the
don't know. Should we
woods.
should we flip for it?
Okay,
There
okay.
there's a movie.
If I win, you get to bash my skull in with the jawbone of an ass.
Right, right. But if you win, you can have mom for the graveyard shift. Oh man. Okay. We already know that we're already going to be torching some people from the church community with this,
This
but
is already
that's okay.
what you're already bringing the graveyard shift experience because we are all about the tangents.
That's right. That's right. Now, a mutual friend pointed me to you, our good friend Eric, who hosted your show for about a year or so, um, and he probably didn't realize this that he is a massive shark fan. When he asked you to review Exorcist Shark Exorcist, that's actually normal. If you would have sat there and said, "Oh, why did he do this for us?" That's because he likes sharks. Um, Secretly, he's in the closet with that. But we
I
brought
thought
him
he did it
out.
because he hates me.
No, Eric does. There's only one person Eric hates in this planet, and it's all right because there's a lot of other people that hate this individual too. Um, yeah. Um, but you guys, now did Eric and how did your podcast start? Let's go with that. Or even before that, um, how did you get started in media? I mean, as far as did you keep a journal? Were you a writer?
No,
Did you do a blog before you did the podcast? How did you get your start?
it was a bunch of turbulent little twists and turns. I originally worked at a bingo hall, and one day the power went out, so I was just trying to get the customers you know to not be bored. So I was cracking some jokes, and like most of them were happy that I was able to keep them occupied until the power came back on. But
Right.
one person, there's always got to be, one person is more important than 15 praises. One complaint outnumbers all of
Yes.
that. So one person went to the manager saying like, this guy's like, he's not selling cards. And I'm like, I'm selling cards. There's just no way to play them because the power's not on yet.
Right.
But they didn't bring that to me. They just brought it straight to the manager. So it was basically, I was told, like, if you're going to tell jokes, do it, somewhere else. So I decided, fine, I will. And that's when I decided to sign up for stand-up. And
Okay.
I've been doing that for about 10 or 15 gigs. And I, you don't get good in stand-up until you've hit like at least 100 because, you got to get all the bugs out, you got to figure
Right.
out how to get people onto your side of a story or a joke. Because like when you're conversationally funny, like you're with people that are already halfway there with you because they know you, they know the situation, you can use shorthand. But with this, I was still learning the ropes of how to get people on board with my point of view to get the punchline because they all come from different experiences. It's very hard to do monologues and stuff. And that's when someone came into the bingo hall who was actually, under 50. So I thought, hey, I'm going to go, talk to this girl and find out, like, do I have a shot? She was married, so didn't have a shot. But she did say, like, well, if you're really funny and you're into like techie stuff and, tech, sci-fi, shit like that. You know, my husband's a bit of a nerd. He's starting a podcast and could use a guest. So that was my first appearance on a podcast, just being basically set as like the play date so that she didn't have to deal with her husband.
Now, did you know what a podcast was at that time, or was that still a relatively new term?
I'd long listened to a bunch of podcasts at the time, and I was just thinking how great it would be to be on there, but I don't know anybody who would do one with me or degree of competence to help me learn the ropes and get better as time goes on. So I was just sort of stuck with like, I'm just on my own. I'll never figure it out. So I'll just be on the outside looking in as far as podcasting goes. Right. And then after being on his podcast, the guy that runs that network said, would you like to be on again? I was on for the second episode. Third episode, he goes, do you want to just like co-host the show with him? Because, you know, you're a natural at this. And I'm like, okay, great. And it figures that the only promotion I get is from free to free as far as income goes. But I did manage to get my feet wet in terms of, you know, understanding the recording, sound levels, microphones, stuff like that. And then some of my friends were listening to that. Then they wanted that, finally lit the fire under them because I'd been trying to do a show with them. But when they saw that I can actually pull it off, they were able to take the plunge with me. Then we started a Nintendo Power podcast where we read Nintendo Power magazine. We talk about the games, the hints, the strategies, the news about like the upcoming portable Nintendo called the Game Boy, all that stuff. And one of the guests we had on that was someone who found the show, asked to be on, and that was Sheldon. Then we started talking horror movies after the show, and like nobody I knew liked horror movies as much as I did. So Sheldon's just like, do you want to do a podcast? And then, hell yeah, I do, because I'm only doing 2 podcasts right now. Why not do 3 podcasts?
Yeah, why not do 3?
And then the other 2 fell apart easily. So that whole problem of me burning myself out kind of solved itself.
That is a bane of a podcast. I mean, I know that a lot of people, and it's funny because this is what I sincerely believe this. Though you are once again an outlier, even though you are putting some on your YouTube channel as archives, but podcasts, there's a ton of them out there. But the one thing I was impressed, you know, I was listening to yours, you know, and you're getting ready to do your 400th episode, and I'm going like, okay, that guy has staying power, because the only there's oh gosh, I wish I knew his name. I know his name. Let me see if I can dig it up again, because he did the first visual podcast I ever saw. Kevin Pollak. That's who it was, Kevin Pollak, and he did Chat Show, and it was a visual podcast. And he would have, you know, he's been in Hollywood for years and years, and he knows everybody. And he was the first podcast I ever watched or heard, and I was really impressed. I was like, this is so cool, you know, like, and it lasted. He did over. I think when he finally closed shop, he had done over 250 episodes. Now, on the surface, that doesn't seem like a lot to a lot of people, but you got to think of the caliber of guests that he was getting, and it goes to point how hard it is to book a damn guest. People want to know how, you know, is it easy to book a guest? Hell to the no, it's not easy.
It's not even to keep co-hosts.
Yeah, co-hosts too. Like I was surprised, you know, but then again, I think it's because of your success. Because most people, I think a lot of people go inside and they're going like, okay, I'm going to do a podcast. And then the podcast will last, you know, and they do seasons. I could never understand that. Season 1. What, you're only doing 12 episodes? Oh, okay. It's not TV.
Yeah.
It's not TV. You just keep doing it. But a lot of podcasts, they always start out strong. You know, I'm doing a podcast. Okay, well, let me know when you're on episode 36. You know, that's you know, 3 seasons, right? Let me know when you hit 36. I'll tune in, because then I know you have staying power. You know, then because it's just like watching a TV show. Like I don't like watching certain TV shows on certain stations because they have a quick hook. I don't want to sit and get invested in a program that's going to go away in 6 or 7 episodes. That's not fun for me. You know, the same thing goes for a podcast, and it's like, I'm listening to the Graveyard Shift, and you're going like, we're hitting our 400th episode, and I'm going like, hell to the yeah.
Yeah,
Congratulations, man. You got staying power. People will be tuning in for you guys because you are dependable,
I got to put that on
funny,
my dating
dependable,
profile.
and topical, which is really key for a pod. Um, I know I'm not a traditional podcast. I call it a visual podcast because because you can see us. But I also sit there and say, well, it can be a podcast, just like you get on Spotify. All you need to do is just turn it on. You don't need to watch it in order to hear it. Um, so we're not doing visuals here or anything like that. You're not going to be missing anything if you can't see what we're if you can't see. I can't
Yeah.
see on YouTube. Is I can't. I means I can't listen to it. That's not true. Um, so Sheldon and you connected on horror movies. So what kind of horror movies were you guys talking about beforehand? I have a feeling you guys were big on the franchises when you first started out.
Well, if you see our selection, we kind of go all over the place. We
Yes.
covered modern movies, 80s movies, 70s movies, 50s movies. Even did like a silent documentary on witchcraft from the 20s called Haxan.
Nice. Nice.
So we wanted to make sure we didn't paint ourselves in any corner. We're going to give, like, someone just asked me. Well, I always get asked this when they're like, "Why do you just narrow yourselves down to horror movies?" And I'm like, "How can you say narrow down when you just take a look at how many types of horror movies there are and have been since the beginning of media?" Like, just trying to list all the genres, you've got like 40 different genres of horror, from creature features to mockumentaries to found footage to slashers, creature features, so many
Yeah.
in between. There's like, and they're making new ones like with Jordan Peele with social horrors.
Well, I would think they're expanding. I think George Romero probably doing the first social horror if you really think about it.
Yeah,
But I get
because
what you're
you
saying. I get
consider,
what
like,
you're saying for sure.
consumerism. Because again, horror has always people. What I hate when I see this in Facebook groups, when someone does like a political post and someone says, "Can you keep politics out of horror movies?" Bitch, have you seen a horror movie?
God, yeah,
Look
politics
at
are in horror
look
movies.
at Dawn of
Yeah.
the Dead, Day of the Dead. It's in a shopping mall. It's about consumerism. There, you ever see The Hunger with David Bowie? There's a vampire movie with David Bowie in it, and it's basically showing him, being affected with vampirism, and it just consumes him to the point where when he stops taking human blood, he withers away in a hospital room, and it becomes so obvious it's an AIDS allegory because there's
Yeah.
this blood disease that was given to him, and now he's withering away. His body's turning on him. Like, there are so much, like Friday the 13th, wait, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Gay. The
Yes.
character in that, clearly gay. The actor who played him, clearly gay. Freddy is
Yep.
basically this guy's homosexuality manifest, going after targets that are either like awakening his sexuality or, mirroring it. Like going after the teacher, whipping his ass in the shower. This is like an allegory for heterosexuality, for homosexuality, because like Freddy is defeated by the love of a good woman. And then as the movie continues at the end, oh, that didn't do shit. Freddy's still around because his sexuality is not going to change. So
No.
Freddy being homosexuality as an allegory has been in movies. They've always been political. You just aren't media savvy.
Yeah, if you think about it too, most of the creators that make movies, that are writers, that are creators, they're all pretty much known as liberals. If you really look at if you go
Yeah.
back there and look at them, they do have liberal leanings. I mean, there's been a few otherwise, but for the most part, it's always been they've always leaned to the left.
Look at
Whatever story
Frankenstein. Frankenstein,
yeah,
the Invisible Man, done by James Whalen, open homosexual.
yeah.
He even did like
You're right. It's always been there.
he even did like a parody of horror movies, basically like the Scary Movie of the 1930s called The Old Dark House. If you ever saw it, it's making fun of Hollywood trends where straight people always have to hook up by the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it in like the most blatant way by having like two married couples and each of them has a single hetero friend, and as soon as they meet, they have one conversation and they're talking about getting married. It is
Yes.
such a
It's like that. I
it's
remember
a
watching
parody.
yeah, I remember watching the early John Wayne movies. If you go back and watch John Wayne when he first started out and like in the 30s, man, at the end of every movie, John Wayne was he wasn't riding off into the sunset. He was marrying somebody.
Yeah.
Uh,
And he became his own parody as he became, like, he just admitted in that Playboy interview that he's a white supremacist. Like, it's like, oh.
Dale mentions people saying keep politics out of any movie just haven't been paying attention.
Yeah.
These idiots complain that something as simple as Star Wars got woke. You know, that's because those guys, they don't understand that they don't understand the word definition. They don't know how to, they only ape what they hear,
Yeah, like I said, no
you know
media
as far
literacy.
yeah, I mean, there's this. They're all, all they are is just the rats going over the cliff because there's a Pied Piper playing, and they're
Yeah.
all going over there, or lemmings, or buffalo. We're all going to fall up. We're all going to run off the cliff, and sure enough, there they go. The ones that sit there and say, "Well, wait a minute, I'm not so sure I want to do that." But guess what? You got caught up in it, and there you go off the
Yeah.
cliff, going like,
You
but
woke up
but
too
I
late.
was, yeah. Uh, so now I love the fact that idea you do cover a lot of different genres, and you're right. I as horror as like me, I do anything. I I can't do horror all the time. I personally can't do it, even though there's all the genres. I can't do it. I love good horror, and I do watch a lot of it, but I like to watch other things as well. So I'll cover that.
Mhm.
Like, there's a gentleman in the chat. His name's Hobbs. He
I don't
started
see
a.
anyone else in the chat. Is that just for you, or
Do you see? Do you have chat on your computer?
I see private chat, studio chat, 2 people.
No. There should be something else there.
If someone's been
Uh,
talking to me at this point, I apologize. I have not seen
no,
anything.
not at all. I'm just surprised you have not seen.
Nope.
Okay,
I
if
just
you.
see private chat, 2 people. That's all it shows.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, if you click on that, we'll go to comments.
Okay. Oh, there we
If you
go. There's people.
Yep, there's people. Now, Hop started a series called Dollar Theater, Dollar Tree Theater, and so what it was we watch movies that we get for $1.25, and he's a master of horror. He's king of Halloween. So most of his, not all of it, because even himself, was sitting there going like, I'd like to do something else other than straight horror. But I do all sorts of things. You just never know what's going to happen on Monday. Monday is going to be drama, comedy, whatever. But I do appreciate the people that do love horror and dedicate a whole podcast for it. And you're right, it's so cool. To me, it's like what I don't mind people watching horror all the time. What really gets me is the fact when all they cover are all the major ones.
Yeah.
That gets
That's
me.
the
It's
thing.
like
That's why
I
I'm
just
able to do it, because I don't stick with just mainstream horror, just one genre of horror, just slashers. You would get fatigued, but there's such a variety. There's so many colors in that rainbow alone. I've never
uh,
gotten bored, because if I'm like, well, I'm going to go watch some old classic sepia horrors from the 20s and 30s, then maybe I'll watch some unknowns from the 70s. Maybe I'll watch some Hammers and Amicus movies from the 60s.
yeah,
They're always so different. But
yeah.
there has been occasions where I wanted to do something a little different, but when you're trying to stick to a theme for a show, you don't want to get that audience alienated.
Yeah.
So
That's sort of frustrating
I
too,
do
'cause
enjoy so many other movies. Like, have you ever seen the movie Megamind? It looks like it's for kids, but it's surprisingly very deep.
so
Like,
I'll tell you, I love those type of movies too. Dell wants to know, Mike, what's your favorite subgenre of horror? So that's a good question. What is your favorite subgenre? Mine is supernatural horror. That's my bread and butter.
hmm. Well, I was raised on creature features, so stuff like The Fly, Christine. My dad in particular, very old stuff, not much contemporary stuff, but he did like Christine, Fright Night, but most of the time he would just be renting like the old Hammer and Amicus movies. So that's what I grew up on. I liked, the old Vincent Price movies, the
Yeah.
Peter Lorre, the Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee. So like the creature features, like where there's just like one particular monster and everyone has to figure out like how the hell do you deal with this guy? I think that's close to what I can grab right off the bat for creature features. Like Dracula, the Invisible Man, the Mummy. Like if there's just like one monster ravaging a small town somewhere, I'm having a good time. And Christine, I guess Christine counts as a creature. It's a living entity.
Well, does the Shark Exorcist fall into that realm?
Me?
I think I'll lock
Maybe?
the door now and leave you inside there. And think about that for a minute. Yeah, I'm. It's when you sat down and decided to like, okay, we're gonna do this. So I mean, obviously, probably when you first started off, if we go back to your first episode and just walk our way up to like the first 75, would we get mostly? I mean, when did you realize that I don't want to talk about Jason or Freddy anymore? I want to talk about independent horror. I want to talk about or like Hammer or Amicus or or the 70s horror. When did you decide that or did you already decide before you did your first episode like
Yeah, we
I'm
never
gonna
had any genre or focus right off the bat. Like we started with Fright Night. That was our first episode, and we already had a
good
skit
one.
for that episode, which was like how Jerry the vampire meets Billy, his sidekick, partner, whatever their relationship, whatever their association is. We had our own interpretation of how they met, and we've just then we got onto Haxan, American Werewolf in London. We did Dracula or Scars of Dracula, no, Brides of Dracula, Lust for a Vampire, like the lesbian Hammer movies from the late 60s, early 70s.
Right.
So we never really nailed down a particular genre. He got busy with life stuff, so I had to start looking for new hosts around episode 100. But I
That's a
never really got bored because I never stuck with one genre long enough. I was always bouncing to like what's like a psychological horror, what's an emotional horror, like several comedy horrors.
was it hard? I mean, did you find it hard to to keep going? I mean, because like I said, a lot of podcasts, they crash and burn. I think tubers that do visual podcasts like this, I don't know why, but I think for the most part, if they just put the metal in their mouth and you just keep going forward, I think they can build up a really nice body of work as well, and it's fun to do. Doing a stream like this is fun to do. I know a lot of podcasters that are just they're so concerned with scripting writing a script and editing and doing skits, and they make it so much harder than it has to be. And it's like dude, you're talking Dracula 1931. Why do you need a script to talk about it? All you need to know is a little bit of background, who's in it, who made it, maybe a few trivial, but you don't have to like write a script for it. I think a lot of people tend to overthink and just cut loose. Like that's really what I enjoy listening to you was you were just cutting loose. I was telling Eric that you guys spent an hour on Shark Exorcist. I was actually really impressed with that because it's like you spend an hour talking about a movie that deserved about 15 minutes of talk. But
When you told
pushed
me you
through
were friends with the director, I'm just like, oh god, I hope he doesn't listen to that episode. He might think like I'm like, I basically put out a
we're gonna
fatwa on
come
the
to that.
director.
So I sort of gave you a get out of jail free card with that before you got on, and really because it really is true. Let me ask you this as a podcaster. Okay, now I've talked to a lot of directors. I mean, a lot of directors and actors and whatnot. and I said beforehand, like I know a lot of people are of the mind where they'll sit there and say, well, at least they made a movie. So and so, maybe the movie's not very good. Hey, but at least they made it. I'm personally am not really of that mindset myself. I said that before you got here. I'm not really that mindset.
That's asking a lot of
I'm not.
forgiveness.
Yeah, I like a good movie. Because we're all I'm asking for. Directors asking us to watch this movie. Like, why come watch what I made? Okay, great. It's not too much to ask as someone who's going to watch your movie. You're asking to watch your movie is to put some care into it.
You spent
to
months making this happen. It's not like we
Right.
just showed up for the podcast and shot the shit for an hour and it was done. Like, there's very little prep work. What we do for the show behind the curtains, if we do a skit, which is not always a given, but if we do a skit, then we'll write that skit. And that's basically the only thing that we really write out aside from trivia and our notes. Because one thing I learned is that you got to have some kind of a bone or a structure to the show, because we've had guests where they didn't do their notes, and you'll hear those episodes and they're not good episodes because a lot of them is like, I've
had that happen.
Can you get back to me?
I've had that happen. I had somebody come up there and wanted to come up there and hang out with us for a Friday the 13th show. It's my favorite. It's my favorite movie of the series. Can I come on to your show? Yeah, all right, yeah, come on up. Come on up. Let's rap about it. All right, bam, shows up, start talking and going, hey, so what do you think about that? Well, I haven't seen it in several years, so I can't really remember.
You need to hear our Rosemary's Baby episode. We had a guest. I was excited to get him because he was like big on like infomercials. Like he had like a
Tom Wu?
No, this was Canadian. So it was like a Dial-A-Date or like one of those like late night, like, talk to these women. They want to talk to you. They're clean. They're confidential. They're fun. They're discreet. Like, you watch his movie, you watch those commercials. He's fun. He's vibrant. So I thought, man, I was able to have a chat with this guy. He's going to be great on this show. We talk about Rosemary's Baby. And then he lets us know, like, wow, you seem to know so much about this movie. And I'm like, yeah, we just saw it this week. And he's like, oh, I saw it in theaters. Like, you came to talk about it. Just going off 40-year-old memory. So it really helps to tell people, take some notes. You don't have to do a script, but take some fucking notes.
Look who just swam into the chat.
Hey, it's Eric.
That's right. It's our good buddy Eric here. Yes, we've had some episodes where our guests literally didn't have more than one good or bad picks. Kind of awkward. Yeah.
They thought the good, and like, what's your goods, what's your bads? They thought he just meant one. Like, do you think our show's 10 minutes long?
Well, how about the part where you do that, right? Or with our guests, after he goes, I haven't seen it in many years, so he's sitting there going, okay, that's not really what I expected to hear from someone who's this is your favorite movie. Hey, but you know what? Maybe we'll just keep talking a little bit. Maybe it'll jar his memory a little bit.
Oh, we tried. So, like, if you listen to that episode, Rosemary's Baby, you'll see us struggling.
I'll have to bring the Friday the 13th. We'll exchange nightmare shows. So the second time I'm going like, okay, so we bring up a big part of the movie, and you're sitting there going like, he can't miss this. He's got to remember this. What do you think about that? Well, like I said, it's been many, many years since I've seen the movie, so I can't remember. And it's just like,
why'd you want to be on the show then?
Here for?
You got
Why are you here? So and then when you don't talk to them anymore because you want to try to save the integrity of the show, like it's not, and you don't want to embarrass anybody. I'm not going to go back to him for the third time, knowing that he doesn't really know that much. I'm not going to do that to him. I wouldn't do that to any guest. So I just keep it with the other co-host, and him and I just ride the show out. And then we go off camera, and then he has the fucking nerve to cry about it. Like, how come you didn't ask me anything? It's like, dude, you wanted to be on. You asked. You wanted to be on here to talk about. It was just like a nightmare. Um, yeah, that wow. So how did he do with Rosemary's Baby? Was his memory really good or
No,
no?
no, no.
Oh my gosh. Who's been the hardest guest that was that your hardest guest that you've had on your show?
A challenge, we've had other guests that have only made one-time appearances that they clearly didn't listen to an episode, even though I said, like, you should really find out what our vibe is. And, if take notes for your goods and bads. We've definitely had like a lot of people that didn't get the assignment and they're not coming back.
Mm.
So,
I know you asked me about prepping too for this, and
yeah,
and to me,
if I'm
I guess
considerate.
to me, it's like I told you, we're gonna be running. When we go up, we're running. We're not gonna be sitting there going like, okay, you got notes. No, we're going.
Yeah.
And it's worked. It's worked for almost 600 episodes, where we just get out there and just start flapping our lips and letting it go where it takes us.
Yeah.
Um, so the very first the very first show you did,
Fright
Fright
Night.
Night. Yeah, that's really cool. You mentioned it. I just for the
Because we did a
first time.
list. Sheldon and I both did a list of like 10 movies we want to do like ASAP. And that was the only one that was on both of our lists.
Wow.
So we agreed this has got to be a pilot.
I just watched for the very first time, and I know people are going to be like completely like, what? But I just watched for the very first time. I watched The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Jerry Sarandon was.
Yeah, Chris Sarandon. When you mentioned Fright, I go, yeah, I just saw Chris Sarandon too, and that was a great movie. If you're a guest on the Graveyard Shift for only one episode, there's usually a reason why. Yeah, it's because you don't like sharks. Okay, all right, moving on. What was the first creature feature you guys covered?
Well, if you count vampires as a creature, that would be Fright Night. But if you think like, oh no, a creature has to be something more exotic than a non-humanoid, that would be our second episode, The Beast of Hollow Mountain.
Oh, that sounds like a 50s movie.
It is, and it's terrible. It's about basically a T-Rex terrorizing a small Mexican town. And it's stop motion. So, of course, and it was so terrible. So we had to name the episode, Oh God, Make It Stop Motion.
Now, you do know, right? I mean, like I said, you do know that some of the movies that you're watching going in, they're going to be bad. I mean, a lot of the 50s, the public domain movies, a lot of the 50 movies, you already know that they're going to be not so good. You know that.
Oh, yeah. Like
we'll just dive right in. I mean, you're watching the Mystery Science Theater, 3000, and they bring up all these, really bad public domain movies. Do you feel that it's more of a challenge not to go after them so much, but after, like I say, a movie like Fright Night, let's go after Fright Night because there's some shit in there that's funny as hell. Or more of a mainstream film like a Jaws or Exorcist, or do you find any movies that are sort of like, well, I really love these movies, but I really don't want to take a crack at it, because they're personal favorites of mine, or is any movie fair game?
Nothing is sacred.
Nothing.
Especially the movies we love. Like there are movies, like even if we give them like a 5 out of 5, like we fucking love them. There are still, we will have plenty of things to say either in the bads or, you see, our show constantly evolves. Originally, we just talked about the goods and the bads. And then we saw a movie called Pieces, which I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, yeah.
So you may be familiar with the ending of that movie.
That's the movie with Christopher George.
I'm not quite sure if I remember the actors.
I think that may have been. I think that was with Christopher George, wasn't it?
It was an Italian or Spanish movie,
or
Brazilian movie, but it begins with people being found with pieces missing, and at the end you find out where all the pieces went. Someone made a flesh doll, and for the most part, it's just been a slasher movie, just like a killer is on the loose, not even like a superhuman, durable slasher, just like a dude is killing people. That type, it's like a world of reality. And then at the very end of the movie, after they find the flesh doll, and they're like, okay, well, we'll get the coroner in here to identify all the parts. That's when the flesh doll comes to life, grabs a kid by the nuts, and squeezes until tapioca comes pouring out between the fingers.
Right.
And that was when we could not put it as a good or a bad. We had to create an entirely new section that stuck with the show forever called What the Fuck?
So What the Fuck Hall of Fame?
It's no, just that, because sometimes there's things in a movie that are not good, not bad, but they're just so bizarre, they must be commented on.
Yes.
It's stuff that raises a question. Like, there will be a movie like Black Christmas. There's a scene where it has like a cop or homeless guys, I don't know who, but someone is warming their hands by a flaming barrel. You know, because apparently people just like fires in barrels.
Right, right.
And this guy, for some reason, has a mustache, but it looks like it's upside down. Like, instead of sloping down and going flat, it's flat and curved at the bottom. So we had to put that down as what the fuck, the upside down mustache. So it's stuck around
and the fact that Margot Kidder looked like she was totally fucking blasted for the whole movie. That's what gets me. I can't tell you anything about that movie other than Margot Kidder was fucking drunk off her ass the whole time.
There are people that hold that movie so sacred, like, oh, it's like the epitome of horror movie. It's like, it's good, but there are issues. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was good, but there were some scenes where it seemed like a little too pretentious, a little bizarre. So it was like, okay, but where some people just think, oh, that movie is sacred. Like, just because it's old does not mean it's perfect. You can be like the first to do something, but that doesn't necessarily mean you did it right on the first shot.
Right. Oh, I'm just thinking about some of the things, some of the scenes you're talking about. Yeah, Black Christmas, the '73, that was boring. That really was.
Eric says he prefers
2006. I'm with Eric on that. 2006, man, that's a lineup right there. A Scream Queen.
It was something to see. It was more exciting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say good or bad, but it was definitely more exciting.
Oh, it's definitely better, much better.
I've got a bad take that I will defend. I liked I believe it was the 2019 remake. The one
I don't know. You know, the only thing I heard about that, where people were upset, was the fact that the women actually won.
Yes,
they killed them at the end, and that's what they're upset about. And I'm going,
the problem was that women fought back.
About that. I think it's badass. I think it's badass when there's a final girl that gets off the ground and takes care of business.
I appreciate a political horror movie, and this one was basically, the villain of that movie is literally toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
And women were fighting back. They were like speaking out against rape. This was like a movie where it was written by a woman who's just like, we're tired of some certain things, and we can still do a competent horror movie while bagging on the shitty parts of stuff. I stand by it.
Here's my point to all the so-called, I know we're gonna bruise some feelings here, but go with it. Okay, so you got Black Christmas in 2019. Women getting up there and kicking ass, right? Yet their mouths are fucking shut when you go back and watch Tarantino's Death Proof. Same fucking thing. At the end of that movie, when race car Mike is getting his ass destroyed, there's Quentin Tarantino. Hey, look at this. I mean, Kurt Russell's characters got wiped the hell out. I mean, nobody complained about that. Everybody was sitting there going, how badass it was.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? The only thing that's different was
nobody was complaining about woke back in Death Proof, but people complained about woke in 2019. So anytime women are on the cover and it's like, oh, all these women on the cover survived to the end of the movie. Wow. Friggin' wokes are ruining horror movies. Like, goddamn, let people have a point of view.
Yeah, we're always talking about, to me, I love the idea. And in fact, in fact, I was okay. So I'm gonna bring up our little thing here, Eric. So me and Eric, we did a collaboration together where it was called Sharks versus Schlock. And so my thing was he sent me some bad schlock movies. I sent him some great shark movies. And so, we're having fun with the shark thing, right? And going like, you ever notice that all these shark movies have two things in common? One, they have the shark on the cover, and two, they have a shark babe, right?
Yeah.
Every good shark movie has to have a shark babe. If it's just a shark, oh, it's boring than hell, flush that, But if it has a babe on it, like that classic Shark Huntress, and I told him, I says, maybe you should do like a top 10 shark babe list. Because, a lot of people in our community, the horror community, they always are doing the final girl list. They always like, who's your favorite final girl? And it's just like, I'm like, okay, how is it that you guys can sit there and talk about your favorite final girl, and that's great and everything else, but I don't understand the difference between that final girl surviving in Friday the 13th Part 2. Actually, three had a better final girl. I don't understand. I just didn't understand that the point of view where it's like there can only be one girl be saved, and the fact that and of course of course all of them all of them have the trope. But if you think about the tropes, right, all the final girls are all innocent. All the other ones have slept around. One was pregnant with a premarital or was going to have a kid out of wedlock. And all those girls were slaughtered en masse. No one's, everybody's like, do you not see the hypocrisy?
Yeah.
Everybody's sitting there watching that happen. And yet here we are, we have something where they flipped the script on it twice, Tarantino and Black Christmas 2019. I'm sure there's other
revenge. Movies. No one complained about it.
The final girl. There's a movie called Final Girl with Elle Fanning or Dakota. I think it's Elle Fanning. Badass movie. That movie is wicked, and that's what happens for her. She goes out there and she basically gets revenge for a couple of girls that have been killed by these group of rich kids, entitled rich kids. Yeah. She gets trained and she gets out there and she takes revenge on them all. It's like, what's not to like? Yeah. Black Christmas is bad but Sidney Prescott can survive 5 damn Scream movies, and that's okay. See, that's what I like about Eric. Eric always comes up with exactly. See, that's exactly right, Eric. You are a dead ass right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I've been lucky in the sense that I haven't had anybody come up here and start talking politics in horror movies. I don't.
I had to go along and ruin your streak.
Huh? Oh no! We don't. I don't mind touching upon it. I don't mind touching upon it. It's interesting. What was your first episode where you did get some pushback? I mean, people getting upset. Was it Rosemary's Baby? Because religious horror is really a tightrope, right? I mean, man, if you do it wrong, people are going to get really upset at you. One way or the other. You're never going to truly win when you do a religious horror film.
Well, here's the thing. If you want to avoid criticism, don't be popular, and no one will know what you did wrong.
Right. That's why I have no problem with talking about it, because I'm not a fan.
So yeah, for us to get bad emails, we would have to get someone actually using the email that I announce at the end of every episode. So
but people do, but they do write you for suggestions, don't they?
Every now and then we have. The only objection one person had was when we were covering an Italian movie, Cemetery Man.
Oh, okay.
And they had like this gimmick in there where one woman is playing 3 different characters. She shows up, gains the attention of the cemetery man, and then disappears or dies or vanishes or something, and then voila, someone else is on here, and it's the same person in a different dress, so different character, which confused the shit out of me until Sheldon had to explain, no, she's a different character.
Okay.
It's just they hired the same actress because they're that fucking cheap.
Right, makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
And one of them was did something like slept with the man, and then her roommate, like while she was sleeping, her roommate talked to him and said, by the way, for, you know, dinner you owe blah blah blah, for the sex you owe blah blah blah, basically like charging him after the fact, even though like there was no talk of anything beforehand. It just looked like it was a date going well, and she's like, no, you've been, you owe for this.
Oh,
Like, she rolls him. And I described that woman as a C word, because, you know, that's just not a reasonable thing that people do. And then some woman sent an email saying, like, could you not call women that? And I'm like, advisable? I don't call women that. I called a bad woman that. But I did try to take care not to call to call bad women that, come up with different names and be creative in my terrible insults for their awful behavior rather than using the shorthand. And you know, I was rewarded by never hearing from them again, even for the good stuff. So yeah, no reward for being good, yelled at for being bad.
Now, what has been your what was your first favorite one that you watch, and like, man, you turn to Sheldon, you sit there and say, dude, man, we hit the home run with this one. What's the feeling like for you? And how do you feel when you know yourself? Because sometimes, like you said, sometimes it helps going in that you know that you don't have a lot of people watching or listening. Like you said, it's like if you're not famous, really doesn't matter. Like today, we're cruising along between 4 and 7 people. I don't do it for that, right? You don't do the graveyard shift for the thousands and thousands of people. We just do it because it's a lot of fun, and if you happen to come across of us, more power to you. I hope that
I do it for the thousands that may eventually tune in and discover it. I play the long game.
Yeah, I do that too, Mike. I do that too. And me and Eric, we talk about that quite a bit. As far as that goes. But yeah, I play for the long game too. I just hope that there's, like once in a while something will get picked up. Like I had one of my interviews from about a year ago suddenly caught fire, and I got like almost 800 views off of it in the last week. And it's just like, how'd that happen? Can you show me how you did it? Because I don't know what I did. It's like, it's like, yeah, bam, you got traffic, and it's just like, okay. So what was the first?
And then 2 weeks later, they're gone. What happened? Yeah. Did I do wrong? Did I already screw up my shot?
Yeah. Is this over with? Am I has been now? This is it.
It slipped through my fingers before I even knew I was supposed to clench my fist.
I could have been a contender. I could have been a contender.
Been somebody.
So what was the first movie that Sheldon and you, or the first pod that you and Sheldon just looked at each other and said, dude, man, that was it, that we really popped it? I know for you and Eric it was probably Jaws 4. Did he make you do Jaws 4: The Revenge during his year? How many shark movies did you guys do with him as a co-host?
I don't think any come to mind. I know we did a Shark Week at some point.
Of course you did, because he.
It's when you do 400 episodes, you sort of need to
be a Shark Week involved in there.
When you do 400 episodes, you need to really look up the archive to be like, what did we talk about? Because,
now, do you guys do anything else other than horror? Do you do action as well?
We'll do action horrors.
Action.
Like I said, like horror is so pervasive as a genre. It sometimes isn't even a genre. It becomes like an element of a different genre. Yes. Like a comedy movie with horror, an action movie with horror, a sci-fi movie with horror.
Are you a fan of of horror comedies or?
Oh yeah.
Oh really? That's probably the only genre. Mike, he's insane. This whole shark thing is a joke. That he's beaten to more than a dead horse. That's not true.
That's a dead shark.
True. It's dead shark. Yeah, he made me watch Kurt Angle's River of Darkness. Yeah.
Kurt
Which
Angle,
I which I which I shocked him by liking.
Kurt Angle, who is that again?
He
Musician
was
or
a
wrestler?
wrestler. Yeah. And he made me watch a Leprechaun movie, which I hate him forever for.
Which
Louisa
one?
Warren, Leprechaun's Curse, which was done by Louisa Warren.
I don't.
Oh
That's not part of the official Leprechaun series, then, is it?
no, God no. She's an English director, and her movie she makes Donald Farmer look like Scorsese.
Oh shit.
Yeah. They
Um.
made me watch that, and then he made me watch a movie I didn't even know fucking existed. He made me watch Creepshow 3.
Oh man.
Did did you cover that? Because I didn't even know it existed until he told me.
I did not until we covered Creepshow 2, and that eventually got a mention by someone, and I'm just like, what? There was a third? But
Uh,
movie, like in terms, uh, there's so many movies we've done. I would say Get Out was a fun one to cover.
which
There
one?
was
Oh,
Get
Get
Out.
Out. Okay, Jordan Peele. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, one that I think we really nailed it because it actually helped me meet one of my current co-hosts, John. So
Okay.
every now and then we do theme months, like Shark Month, or like this month on the show for August, we're doing Gone Fishing, where we do Monsters of the Deep. We
Nice.
got Barracuda, The Last Shark, Deep Rising, and we're going to end with Leviathan, which has like a very good skit I just finished working on. But what got me to meet John, because I had a guest on for The Son of Ingagi, which we did for the first episode of Black History Month. And whenever we do like a deep political theme month on the show, we will not just talk about the movie, we'll break up over the 4 or 5 parts of that month a deep history of that element in horror. Because we first started with Pride Month. We
Right.
had theme months before, but like big theme months. So for Pride Month, instead of talking about like 40 minutes of queer themes in horror, queer directors, writers, messages, coded villains that were like clearly queer allegories, we broke that up into 4 pieces. So at the beginning of each episode, we would do like a nice 10-minute deep dive, 10 to 20 minutes. And for Black History Month, we talked about, Black experiences in horror. And for that, we covered the movie Son of Ingagi, as well as, which was the first Black produced horror movie. And it starred Spencer Williams, who played Andy on Amos and Andy.
Mm.
If you're familiar with that show.
Yeah, I know that radio show. Yeah, definitely.
Well, not the radio show, because that was 2 white guys doing black voice and were friggin' awful racist people. But he was one of the 2 black actors that played the actual black people on the show.
Didn't the radio show get transferred to? They got transferred to television,
and they were the TV actors because they couldn't just do it in blackface. Because even in the 50s, people were starting to think, maybe blackface might be a little rude. Some people might not like it. They were starting to wake up.
Well,
but
Rochester State, he was black from the very first for Jack Benny. He might have been the first one on radio to say, okay, he was who he was.
Yeah, Jack Benny stuck by him, and she's just like,
yes.
No, I'm not going to have like a black voice friend. I'm going to have my black friend on the show. That guy stuck by. The guy that's behind Amos and Andy, we go into the whole thing about that. But as we did our Black History Month, we decided to go on Twitch and do like special versions of the podcast where we would play the podcast and then show clips of the movie that we're referencing, because we wanted to like create it like a visual component for the podcast.
Sure.
And that was where John was part of the people in that Twitch stream who checked out the episode, wanted to be part of the show, and now he's been part of the podcast for well over 150 episodes so far, so he's really stuck around.
And you had Alicia as your third co-host.
Yep, that one was someone I met in real life, and they listened to a couple of episodes, and they're like, she just said, "Can I be on? If you ever need someone on an episode, like a guest or something, let me know." And then I did, and then she just had so much fun being on it. She's stuck around so far until she gets sick of me, but it hasn't happened yet. So I'm just gonna ride that. We're gonna test her staying power.
Eric mentioned here, Pride Month. Pride Month got us to talk about Chillerama, which sucked. Aside from the Diary of Anne Frankenstein story.
Yes, Chillerama
Chillerama isn't that the anthology movie?
It is. It's got movies from like the quote 50s, 60s, 70s, and then Diary of Anne Frankenstein, which is their black and white James Whale parody. The other ones, they vary between awful to okay. Yeah. But Diary of Anne Frankenstein, I wouldn't say buy this movie, but pirate it and like do whatever you can to edit to just keep that segment alone, because it is hands down one of the absolute friggin' funniest things ever. If it's basically what the entire movie should have been in terms of humor, but it's all condensed into 11 minutes.
Oh, anthologies, they're so well. I mean, do you guys cover anthologies on the pod? I mean, that's Definitely. The hardest one. Those are really hard to do because they can be so freaking uneven. Like one could be great, like you just mentioned, and like for me, one of my favorites is VHS. I absolutely love the first story in that anthology. It's absolutely one of my favorites of anything. But
we have covered plenty of anthology movies.
Yeah.
We've done like Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. We did Tales from the Crypt or Tales of Terror. So
I love anthologies.
Yeah, the Amicus movies we've done. We've also done like Animation April, which we did for we covered like some Japanese as well as Spanish and American made cartoons of the horror genre.
Okay.
So like I said, we don't shy away from anything. We'll even watch movies that like we know are going to be garbage, like Stark Exorcist or Pool Party Massacre. That one was really fun because like we originally thought, I had like this terrible thought when we were in the middle of just trashing it for all the awful things it was doing. And then I had the intrusive, terrible thought, what if the guy that suggested this to us actually enjoyed it and thought like he was doing us a genuine kindness? And now we're just like making him cry in the shower, clutching his knees like, I open my heart to these people.
That's one thing I was going to ask you about too. Have you heard from any filmmakers of whose films that you've roasted? Have you heard from any directors?
See my above answer. If you're not popular, no one knows when you did something bad.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I have been blessed. I have not. The only thing I can tell you is like I learned a valuable lesson. This I learned.
Okay.
And I love the story because I'll make it fast. But before I started on the tube, I was doing a blog. And I was, going around meeting people and asking them to do an interview. And so I met this one director and I said, "Hey, would you be willing to do an interview?" And he said, "Sure," because he's releasing his first movie as a director. So I find his movie in a video store and I get it. And I go home and I watch it and it's like, man, this is before I knew anything about movies. I was just still a fan. Doing this show has given me an education. I'm educated. When I first started, I was just a slappy, but now I'm educated. And so back then I was a slappy, and so I wrote my review and I said, "Yeah, this movie, blah blah blah, not that good," blah blah blah. And then I got told that hey, the distributor's not going to really want me to come onto your show because you pretty much trashed the movie. And so I was like, "Oh shit!" Well, I really didn't mean for that to happen, but I was just being honest. I said I'm just being honest. But I got the director on a real podcast. I got him on a podcast, and I said, "Hey, and so we're very good friends. We're very good friends, and But I learned, I learned that sometimes, sometimes those directors, sometimes those people. Now, it hasn't happened to me very often, I'm glad to say, but there's once in a while where someone will come by there and they'll mention a review that I've done. As far as that goes. Some directors, like I said, I've gotten to know them. I gotten to know them. Like I said, I'll be honest with you, Mike. Like, I agree with you about Donald Farmer. He's not the strongest director out there, and yes, it's a little frustrating watching after 50 years that he hasn't really improved that much due to the fact that he has experience. He's been doing it for a long time. Um, and it's if you're a fan of his, you're a little frustrated too because you're a fan. You like his movies, but you wish that, hey, I wish there could be a little bit more,
I
a
like
little
to
bit
see
more into it.
progression in,
Right. I like to,
experience and talent.
I think the funniest thing not the funniest thing, but the most interesting thing I ever read was there was a professional movie critic who wrote, that's what his job was. It was a movie critic, and I guess he did a podcast, his review on a podcast, and he was reviewing one of Todd Sheets' movies, and he wrote about it. He says, I've been following Todd Sheets for 20 years. I've been a fan of his for 20 years, and he says, I'm so fucking sick and tired of him doing the same damn thing every damn movie. He hasn't moved. He hasn't grown as a director. It was one of the most profound things I've ever read or ever heard about. I mean, he wasn't speaking from as a critic. He was speaking as a fan. Like,
Yeah.
He could sit there and say, yeah, this movie has all this flaws to it, but he was speaking from the heart. He's sitting there going, man, I've been following you for 20 years, and you just haven't, and it frustrates me. But yeah, you're gonna catch. I think especially the longer you stay around, 400 episodes. I'm surprised that someone has not yet found you because 400 episodes. There's not too many horror podcasts that have done that many. There just hasn't. Yeah.
I made the mistake of watching Field of Dreams and thought if you build it, they will come. And I'm standing in the homemade bleachers, just looking around, going,
"What do you do to promote it? How do you promote the pod? I mean, how do you get it out there?" And I know you started the YouTube channel for the archives. Are you gonna? And you have a Spotify, which
TikTok.
is down in the description
Started
box
a TikTok.
Started a TikTok.
I've tried Instagram to show some 1-minute clips of the episode so people can hear us like just chatting about certain points. I've also got a Facebook group where we share memes, try to get it's not just here's the latest episode. We also try to put out, jokes, polls, keep people engaged. We put notes in our show notes. We have numerous ways you can reach us and engage with the community. You can join the Facebook group. You can also join the Discord, share memes, ask people questions. We work on ways to keep people engaged, but it's the whole, you can lead a horse to water, but can't make them drink. Well, you can't even lead these horses to water. It's just, all you can do is create the drinking pool and wonder why the friggin' nobody's showing up.
Yeah,
it's one of those cases. I try to promote it everywhere I go. I try to say, hey, if you think my jokes are funny, I tell a lot of them on the podcast. I write skits. I do this. I try to share the things I'm doing. But it's also one of those cases where you need the people who hear that to do sharing. And Eric helps. Eric does that. Whenever I'm on something of his, he lets people know. He let people know about my stuff for a very long time. It's just very few people are signal boosting the show. I try to have people on my show to collaborate, like comedians, directors. We had Art the Clown on the show. We had David Howard Thornton on the show. He was excellent. And, he's a friend on Facebook. And even then, he shares some of my stuff on Facebook, cool. Even if it's not about the podcast, it's just my thoughts because, he actually follows me, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
And, even with that, I'm not getting a lot of traction. I mean, you've listened to the episodes. Are they bad?
No. I found the podcast to be, I thought it sounded to be very good. I did. I found it to be very good. The one with Donald Farmer, the only thing I would have said about that was, that is one thing I will say that, yeah, I do know the man and I talked to him, and yeah, some of those words were pretty strong, but and I know that if you talk to him, if you did an interview with him, I know that you would you'd probably be rushing to at least tone it down, maybe read, because like I said, he's a very nice man. He's very compassionate. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't know, you never know what you're going to get when you talk to somebody.
I could only
I,
judge. I couldn't get to judge him as a person. I could only judge the work I saw,
right.
and also looked up like the IMDb and just thought like 50 years, and this is what his honed. This is the honed edge he's become.
But you know what though? Sometimes though, for a filmmaker or a film itself, sometimes sometimes there's something more though to offer. Like, a lot of times his films launched a lot of people, like a lot of crew members, a lot of actresses. A lot of actresses got their first cut their teeth on them for the
So
first
like
time
Lloyd
they ever worked
Kaufman.
on. Huh? Right.
So like Lloyd
Sort of like
Kaufman
Lloyd
with James
Kaufman.
Gunn, and I don't know who else he worked with, but I know James Gunn was like he gave him a start.
I mean, there's been a lot of people that let's see.
Ooh, Simon is showing respect.
Let's see. Simon Peter Gruber says, "May I bring out the red carpet for King Mike?"
You may.
See. If the episodes were bad, I wouldn't have been on for over a year. Plus all the other guest spots after leaving. The show is great. Yeah, I agree.
So thank you for soothing my ego. Now I can move forth into the world knowing that my lack of success is everyone's fault but my own.
I don't think. How do you say lack of success?
Look at my Patreon.
I think it's quite the opposite. I think you've been very successful.
I don't
like I said, I don't know any other podcasts that do horror, strictly horror. I don't know anybody that's come even close to your content.
I appreciate your positivity. You can say success. I can say my inability to acknowledge failure.
It all depends. I guess it all depends how you define that. But I certainly wouldn't define it as certainly wouldn't define it as failure. I thought it was very interesting. I like the fact that you brought in facts about I really enjoyed the swim fan episode.
We always try to be educational as well as entertainment. Yeah. Like, we do try to grow, bring something for everybody, and
I see that's
if you like jokes, we do skits. If all you three listeners out there, we do skits for random movies. We think you'll enjoy them. Let me just check out our most recent. There was Day of the Beast. That was a Christmas episode. We did a nice skit for that. For the Eggs Extends, we did a good skit for that. Movie. Donnie Darko.
I have not seen Donnie Darko yet, but I like Eggs Extends. Eggs Extends was a cool ass movie. That's a cool movie.
It's a unique movie. Yeah. We definitely had a lot of fun talking about that. We decided to come up with our own video game system, our own flesh-based video game system based on that. So that one was a commercial skit, which is not funny? One we do very often.
When people were talking because body horror is a big thing right now, I'll be honest with you, that's a movie I have not heard people talk about when it comes down to body horror. Because that movie's a crackling good one. That's that one and and Crash. You don't hear anything from Crash either. And both movies were Cronenberg movies.
It got bowled over by the political 90s or late 90s Crash rather than like the
Crash was
the sexy car crash.
I admit, when I sat there and I watched Crash, I was just like, I have no idea what this is. I mean, the fact that there are actually people, and there probably are, that actually like that was such a bizarre movie. But so was Existence. But you know what? I was there for both of them. I enjoyed the hell out of them.
As a video game player, I had some issues with this. Like, this is what you think video game players are? It's like, did you even watch a video game player before you decide to make this movie? Or did you just like watch your grandkids play games and think, this is what gamers are, and I'm going to make a movie making fun of them?
Remember, that was still sort of new, though. Gaming, as we know, it was still relatively new. I mean, I think if he made Existence today, I definitely think it'd be a whole different movie. Don't you
Video
think?
games had already been out for well over 25 years by the time
Yeah, but it
Existence
was
was
just
made.
coming out of the
There was
Atari phase,
there was Pong, the Magnavox,
Yeah,
the
long.
Coleco.
Yeah,
I
but
had an Atari and a
Mattel,
Coleco.
I had Atari and Mattel.
Yeah,
I had to
I
wait.
had the Tiger handheld games.
I had to wait for 5 months for the handheld football game, the white
I
one.
I would go to the Salvation Army to get like a bag of Atari games, like Yours
Oh my god,
Revenge and Berserk and Pac-Man.
Atari 2600 was life. So
Yeah,
you sit there and be invisible and shoot the. I love those games. Let's see. Eric says Mike is his own worst critic at times. I think that's all right sometimes. I think it's okay for us to be our own worst enemy because then we can fix things a little bit. We see things and we can fix it. Our skit for Deranged was fun.
yes.
Me talking to Mike as he does his best Ed Gein. We were up till midnight, 1 a.m. just trying to write that one.
We could do
Uh,
about a good 20 minutes talking about the skit writing process. Sometimes a movie has a loose thread right off the bat. You can just pull that and just think like, yes, we need to talk about that. Like when we did the Jerry Dandridge, how did he meet Billy? So that just came from a question. How did this guy meet? Like, how did he get roped into being a Dracula's sidekick? That basically wrote itself. Then there's movies like Deranged, which was Roberts Blossom playing the closest thing to Ed Gein, and it came out before Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you've never seen it. And to me, it was better. A better dinner scene for tension. Uh, just an excellent Ed Gein style movie. And we knew that there was something funny in there, but it took so frigging long to find out. Like, we were digging a lot before we hit the mother load on that. And basically, we were just thinking, like, what did Ed Gein think of the movie based on him? And I'd seen some Ed Gein footage, but I just decided at the end it would be funnier if Ed Gein just sounded like Sling Blade.
yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. One of my favorite skits with Eric was when we did Killer Clowns from Outer Space. You must have seen that movie.
It's been a while since I've seen that one. I admit it's been a long time.
But you remember the captain, the police chief. He was like such a big asshole. Nobody liked him. He's like he said like, "Oh, you're not gonna make a dummy out of me." And then at the end, like the killer clown literally stuck his hand into a spinal column and made him a ventriloquist dummy. Excellent stuff.
See, there you go. See,
and our skit for that was that guy's family getting the phone call after the events of the movie about, to his family that he's been killed in the line of duty. And like, I'm supposed to be the officer playing it straight. Like, I'm sorry, your father was at the station when it was attacked. He didn't survive. I'm sorry. And Eric played his son that's just like, oh, my dad's dead? Did we get his pension?
Do I get his tackle box?
So that was fun.
What are some of your favorite? I mean, we're talking about the films, but you must have some favorite performers that you like. Some of the actors. Who are some of your favorite actors that you like, and whose movies that you would be, like, I really like this person, but so I'm gonna make it really juicy and make up a really good skit for it. Are there actors that are sort of like safe, or is everybody game?
No, nothing safe. The more I like you, the more unsafe you are.
Okay.
Which is also something my dates don't want to
You're
hear.
you're in Canada, so have you ever done a horror theme on Canada horror?
Not specifically. We have done David Cronenberg movies, and he's Canadian.
There's more than out there than Cronenberg, let me tell you. There's a lot of good talent out there in Canada.
We did a movie called Zombievers. Strangely enough, not Canadian, but you'd think. There was.
You would. Man, I've heard about that movie. I heard that was pretty interesting.
I think there's a movie called like Hockey Hosers or something by Kevin Smith. That one probably.
Yeah, yoga hosers.
There we go. So we definitely have material for Canadian theme months. We haven't done that yet. You were asking about actors I enjoyed. Again, growing up on the classics, I'm going to go right off the bat to say we have given these people their theme months. Christopher Lee.
Okay.
We've covered twice. He's gotten theme months, and we called those theme months January because we start off the year.
I think now I understand where Eric gets his titles from his theme months. I'm hearing your themes. I'm going like, not, a lot of these sort of sound familiar. I think he actually gifted him something that he has used, and I'm glad he has because it's very interesting.
Yeah. So January we've covered some.
He did John Waters' June, and I was happy about that, but I was happy that he was not able to do Pink Flamingos.
So we have done, we did January this year, and we covered Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, The Curse of Frankenstein, The Mummy, and The Gorgon. And that was just this year alone.
He said you guys covered Pontypool.
Yes,
I still gotta cover that too.
It's excellent.
Stephen McHattie is your fucking. That's Canada's Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
I have enjoyed the stuff he did. I enjoyed him in This Is Wonderland. I've enjoyed him as
he has done so
Murdoch
many
Mysteries. So we
he's done so many. He truly is. Horror movies, Secret Weapon. Whenever you see Stephen McHattie come on, he really is. I mean that sincerely. He really is the Canadian version of Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. That guy, there's nothing that he cannot play or will play, and he's really good all the time.
Yeah, he's good.
I have Pontypool, and I have been saving. I've been sitting on that for like 3 years. But I definitely want to do an episode on Pontypool because
bring me on because I could stand to see that movie again. I love the frig out of it.
I definitely. Well, you know what? I think I can actually do that. We do a Sunday night show, the ISC Midnights, and what we do is we watch and review. Or watch ISC films, and Pontypool's one of them. And then we get together and then we deep dive the movie that we watch, and I definitely want to do Pontypool very soon.
Yeah,
there's just so many great movies.
Eric enjoyed that.
We're actually doing a Canadian. We're actually doing a Canadian movie, I believe. This month we're doing a movie called Z, and it stars a Canadian actress named Keegan Connor Tracy, which I'm sure you heard of.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Probably best known from Final Destination 2.
I've only saw the first Final Destination, I think.
You never saw any of the other ones?
Oh, wait, Final Destination 2. Is that the one with the log truck?
Yes.
Okay, I saw that one too.
Okay. She plays the girl that gets hit in the head with the piping.
Oh, that was so long ago. I just remember the log truck. Sometimes my memory can be a steel trap, and I'll remember like one episode of a cartoon that I hadn't seen since 1983. And I'll remember the musical cues, the sound effects, and then I'll see a movie like 5 years ago and just be like, it's completely deleted from the cache. It might as well be new to me.
I'm like that too. There's been movies I've sit there and like, I've seen this before. Yeah, you've seen this before. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay,
yeah. Another theme month we did was for a actor I love very much, Vincent Price, and that was The Price is Right. That was our theme month because he was just brilliant and all that stuff. And we could do like 6 months of Vincent Price movies.
I hated the way his career ended. I hated it so much. Him doing all those comedies and all that other stuff. I mean, people just forget just how fucking debonair he was too. Go back to his prime when he played all the cads or the smooth debonair. I mean, he was smooth. I mean,
the
really
psychos, the psychos, the smooth talkers.
Yeah,
and I just loved reading about him when I was doing Pride Month coverage. That when his daughter came out about her sexuality, that he did the same and revealed that he was bisexual. And like he let her know, like, for my career, I kept it all quiet and I will keep it quiet.
Yeah.
But for you, Like, I will fight to the death for you, that you should never have to shame or hide who you are. And how, like, anytime someone spoke out against his daughter, he was there as a damn warrior. So, like, he was just a good friggin' man.
I read Tab Hunter's biography, Confidential. Man, talk about fucking sad. That was a sad ass book. He was in love with Tony Perkins. They were both in love with each other, and they just couldn't. They weren't allowed to come out. They were always, they're always secretive. And for years they carried the torch for each other, until finally, it just got to be too much for the both of them, and they just, But it was really sad reading about it, how much they care for each other. It's probably still, I know it's a lot more open today, but hey, it was what it was, back then. It was what it was. A lot of marriages, a lot of people who look at the 50s and 60s and see,
the lavender marriage.
Look at Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. I mean, he was married, but he still had an affair with Katharine Hepburn for over 25 years. And it's just, it was what it was, different times. So tell me real quick, as we are coming up to our point here, what's coming up next on the pod? I mean, what do you got as far as themes or special episodes or special guests?
We don't always,
and we want to invite you to come partake of us for.
Well, I've had a blast. I definitely will.
Yeah,
love to.
We want you to come on board and do a Sharks versus Schlock collaboration with us.
We have considered doing like a shark month again, because it's been a very long time since we did a shark one. I don't know if we did an official shark one or if we just did like Summer of Sand and like half of them were like sand sharks. No, we did do a shark. We did do a shark month with How Shark Goes Shark, some other shitty movies, The Reef or something like that.
Now I can tell you this right now. When we did our Sharks versus Schlock collaboration, I can tell you this right now. I took it seriously. I took it very seriously, and I sent Eric 10 or 9 great shark movies. And so whatever he says about it, just let that go over your shoulder. Know that I took good care of him. He had a blast, and so much so that he said that I should become the shark guy in the next round. So I'll be covering sharks the next round of Sharks from collaboration, but I got to send him some schlock movies. But we want you to join us. In fact, if you want to grab one of your co-hosts, John or Alicia, we'll do a tag team. You have to face me and Eric together, which is quite a formidable task. Let me tell you. Between the two of us, you'll make a podcast just on us.
So for themes this month of August, we are doing Gone Fishing, which we said will be Barracuda, The Last Shark, Deep Rising, and Leviathan, which begins with a very good skit that I just finished working on. I got like the sound effects on it. It's one of those things where like sometimes I create a concept of a skit so good that, or it demands so much that I just feel like I can't just like throw, oh, we're just going to just have our voices do it and that's it. I have to create the theater. I have to create the stage. I have to have sound effects. I have to have voice filters. I have to decide what room are we in and what effect would that have on the voice. I go into like full audio producer mode, and I'm not an audio producer by trade. And if you listen to my sketch, you'd probably know that. But I like to think I'm approaching with some degree of competence and professionalism when I put this stuff together. And I created a beautiful soundscape on Leviathan. So when that comes out on the last Monday of August, you get to enjoy that. And we just decided for our theme month for September will be Back to School, where it's going to be horror movies that take place inside a school.
Oh, and nice. I can recommend one.
And then for
have you got your movies for that month?
We have so far, but we'll always we can always build up a list for next year.
Last of the Grads.
I've never heard of that. What's that?
Man, it's good. It's real good. It's bloody as hell too.
Eric, is he being honest with me? Is it actually good?
I can send you my review. Yeah, it's a good one. 20 on-screen deaths.
And you said Last of the Grads?
Last of the Grads.
Okay, that's 65% Rotten Tomatoes. It's on Plex, so I should be able to
Yeah,
get it. Nice Donnie Darko rabbit on the front.
that's a really good one.
The
Killer Heart was
cast
pretty good.
the cast list seems to be YouTubers.
That won't take away from the won't take away from the movie. It
I
didn't for
see
me.
I see Critical as Officer Greg and Sea Dog Va as a
Yeah,
killer.
yeah.
That
Don't let any of that. Yeah, don't
Eric,
let
I'm
that
scared.
distract you. No, you read my review. I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Well, it's possible.
Eric says, don't trust Patrick, and that one's good. You know what? See, he's just trying to start us trouble because he knows goddamn well I sent him quality movies, and he's just I don't know what's going on with him. Just because I sent him Sharks of the Corn and he didn't like it, but Sharks of the Corn is exciting. That's a shark movie that has to be seen.
So we haven't figured out what we're doing for October, but one thing we've pretty much settled on. First for October, we would do the Halloween movies. And then we bounce between movies that take place on Halloween.
Wait, Halloween theme movies or just the franchise?
We alternated between both. We did like
Okay.
Halloween that's Halloween, where we did the Halloween franchise movies. Then the next Halloween, we would do the Halloween that isn't Halloween, where it's movies that take place on Halloween. And
Okay,
some of
so
those include Trick or Treat, Trick or Treats, and some other movies. We've run out of Halloween-based movies for now, so what we tend to do is something called the grab bag, so where we just do anthology movies. Because it's like having like a whole bag full of various candies. Some are going to suck. Some are going to be like the little cat with the orange wrappers with the cat on a haunted roof fence or something. And then some of them are going to be Kit Kats and coffee crisps, and some of them are going to be good, and some of them aren't.
You know, it's funny. It's funny. That's actually the one genre I have never covered yet on my on Dollar Theater. I have not done an anthology yet.
There's so many.
I have not done one. I've done out of 145
the Amicus movies.
episodes.
The Amicus movies have done so much.
Let's see. So don't. Eric says you sent me fucking garbage. Don't believe that. I wouldn't lie to you about that. I sent him quality entertainment. I don't know where this is coming from. Maybe he wants to come back and guest host. I don't know, but I sent you great movies. You sent me Louisa Warren.
And for the audience, if you we haven't decided if we're doing anything for November, because sometimes we do random movies. But for December, we always stick to one theme: the Chris Massacre. That is what we call. That's what we call every December, the Chris Massacre. Only Christmas horror movies.
Oh my gosh, they're so hard. Did you get Secret Santa yet?
I think so. Sounds familiar. Let me just.
Eric probably would have given it to you. Secret Santa.
Oh, is that the one with the Harley Quinn girl? And the fire and the flamethrower Santa.
No, I don't think that. I don't think the Harley Quinn girl would be in it. It was directed by Adam.
It wasn't Margot Robbie. I call her the Harley Quinn girl because it's like this blonde girl who's Santa's little helper, and she's like doing backflips and shit.
Oh! You're thinking of. I did that last year. Eric sent me those last year. Yeah, you're right. She could be Harley Quinn. That's what I wrote too. Yeah, I did. They did three. I think they did three of those movies. I did the first two. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, we'll take suggestions on those.
Yes. Oh, Eric says you did Secret Santa. I was on that one. 2000. Yeah, Secret Santa was. Secret Santa's amazing. But if you want to do Christmas, you could also do Werewolves Within. That's a Christmas themed movie.
Werewolves Within.
Those are hard. Christmas themed movies are hard to find.
We did Werewolves Within. That was for our video game month because Werewolves Within is based on the video game. So we already covered it for that.
I love that movie. That movie.
We did.
I love that.
It doesn't cost anything to be fucking nice.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
It was such a good cast of like likable characters.
I know. You're rooting for everybody in that movie. And that was the first time I ever saw Milana act, because I only seen her do those commercials. So when I saw her name on that, I was like, wow, okay, I didn't know she acted, I thought, and so I was so amazed to see how good she was. I was like, wow, she's really pretty, and she makes a great werewolf. And this is my new favorite werewolf movie. Go away, John Landis. You've had your 20 years of my fandom. Now it's time for Werewolves Within. Uh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
We also enjoyed The Blackening. That was fun.
I got that, but I
We
haven't
did that
watched
for
it.
Black History Month.
See, Werewolves Within, I'm the opposite of Brain Scan, which we also did for Video Game Month.
That one was a fun skit. If you ever saw the movie Brain Scan, it's about a kid that gets hypnotized by a video game to commit bad crimes.
Was that the one? See, I always get
Eddie
that one
Furlong.
confused. Yeah, is that the one that Fangoria put out, or am I thinking of a different one?
I don't know if Fangoria was
I
making
know
movies back
Fangoria
then.
is like sponsored one or pushed one, and it was like, I don't think that's it though.
It's a movie where Eddie Furlong plays a video game by popping a DVD in his computer and just sitting in front of his TV holding no controller at all. And somehow people thought that was how people play video games.
Oh Jesus!
Oh, it got worse, so much worse. It's
that sounds like the new War of the Worlds movie.
I have not seen it, but apparently it's really bad.
Man, that movie's gonna get roasted more than any other movie this year.
Yeah, we covered the original War of the Worlds on the podcast. That was fun, and just because we will vary our theme, we even covered the radio broadcast of War of the Worlds on a different episode as well.
Oh, they made a TV movie on it on ABC. It was the Night That Scared America or something like that. It was a made-for-TV movie, and covered that. Man,
and the worst part is nobody even tried.
I wish I could find that on DVD, but
the whole story is nobody even tried to like fake out the people or scare them. They originally announced, like if you listen to the broadcast, they announced this is a play. These are the actors. This is what they will do. We hope you enjoy the show. And the only reason people thought it was a real broadcast was because they were channel surfing from Lawrence Welk or some other famous guy who had like his own little musical show. And he went to commercial. So they channel surfed on the radio, heard this, and heard like the part about the alien attack and thought it was real. So typical Americans channel surfing and thinking, oh, this is real. Never mind the fact that there are, if you listen long enough, there are station breaks and reminders during the whole thing. Like, we will continue our discussion. We will continue our reenactment of War of the Worlds after a word from our sponsors.
Yeah, I think it was. I want to say it was the Tommy Dorsey. Was it Tommy Dorsey that they interrupted? Because he was like the big band leader at the time. I think that happened in 1930. Was it 33 or 39? 39. 39. So it probably would have been Tommy Dorsey, maybe. But man, I saw that movie it was made for TV and it aired on Friday night on ABC, and it was amazing. But they did a lot of movies like that. They did another movie called Special Bulletin where they had to go up there and announce it that it was not real. They had because the first time
it's not. We're sorry that you as Americans lack media literacy and you cannot tell fiction from reality. We hope that you will never repeat this mistake again in the future. For the love of God, don't repeat this mistake in the future.
Oh man, we do a lot of stupid shit. Let's see. We did 2 years of the March of the Leprechauns. See why you have to bring that up? Why you have to bring Leprechauns up? That's the worst movie he sent me. He sent me that Leprechaun's Curse. Fuck me.
I never saw Leprechaun's Curse. He must have done. He threw you a curveball. The ones we saw were the Warwick Davis Leprechaun movies.
We made a deal, right? I wouldn't send him any Mark Polonium movies, and he wouldn't send me, and I wouldn't send him any Dustin Ferguson movies. And so I forgot to mention Louisa Warren. He got one in. He didn't know who she was, so I'll give him credit for that. He didn't know, but he sent me that Leprechaun's Curse. Oh my God, I was just like, oh, I hate you so much.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get my revenge.
I got to rap when we covered the second Leprechaun in the Hood movie. I got to rap as the Leprechaun. That was a challenge to work on breath control, flow, match it with the rhythm, find a decent rap song to do a parody of, find the a cappella track for that so that I could properly get the sound levels right. It was a very difficult skit to do. And I stand by the fact that more that I did it rather than I did it well.
Nice.
I'll let the people decide if I pulled it off well as the rapping Leprechaun, but that was really, really fun.
Let's see.
Hello,
Mike
Corey
was the one who gave me
Wilkie.
the name of the connoisseur of crap. I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not. I'm more like I'm like the prince. I'm the crown prince of good taste when it comes down to movies. Um, you can check out my list and see all the quality films I reviewed. Um, you know, uh, but I would definitely like to have you come back for sure. We got to come back closer to October. We're going to be doing Sharkoween in
Mm.
October, and then we're going to do Schlockmas in December. And then Sharks versus Schlock will probably happen in May. But Schlockmas is something that you definitely want to come over and hang out for. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Schlockmas a lot, and
So that's your
I had a
shitty
lot of
Christmas
fun.
movies.
He gave me some really good movies. I'll give him that. For Christmas, he gave me some great movies. I'm sitting there going like, I got to up my game a little bit because those movies he gave me, even though we're supposed to be giving each other really bad movies, but that's one good thing I'll have to sit there and say about Eric is he does try to send me, for the most part, really good movies. Now, Leprechaun and Big Ball, fuck, Big Ball, Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
I just looked up the War of the Worlds because I can never let any tangent go unfulfilled.
Uh-huh.
The show that was on was not Tommy Dorsey or any of that. It was Chase and Sanborn,
Chasing Sand.
featuring Edgar Bergen.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And when the skit ended and they went to commercial, that's when people tuned into the Mercury Theater doing War of the Worlds and immediately thought, "Oh, this is real. I'm going to run outside with my shotgun," rather than wait 20 minutes and see if there's a commercial break.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna go save New Jersey.
Yeah, I got to go
Uh,
save Potter's Field from the Martians.
this is oh, I forgot about that. I
Oh, you
forgot that
got
I
you
did that.
you
I
gave him
gave
a
I
Kirk
gave Eric
Cameron movie, you dirty rat. That's
I,
unforgivable. I'm on Team Eric now.
I gave that's right. I forgot I did that. Yeah. Well, that's because he gave me the damn leprechaun. So I had to come up with my revenge. So I can't think of anything worse than
That's like a yellow snowball. That's like
yeah.
that level of revenge.
And I was proud of it.
It's like
Yeah, we'll
you took
definitely have you come back,
retaliation and
Mike, for
just went
sure.
dirty on it.
We'll have you come back with John and Alicia if they're able to come in, and we'll come back and catch up with you guys closer to October. I'll see if I can.
Absolutely. This was fun.
I'll definitely see if I can drag I'll drag your former co-host into coming on and being my current co-host for that show. Well, that's if he isn't in Battle World anyway. If he's not doing Battle World, then we'll have him come over and hang out with us. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad you enjoyed your time here. I enjoyed having you. This is a lot of fun. And thank you for sharing about your podcast. And I think I put all the links down below. People need to come over and check out your pod. Got over 400 episodes of quality entertainment, including 100 with our good friend Eric sitting over there. That you guys
Every
can go
episode, we've
over
got
there.
show notes. We are always looking for suggestions or guests. If you got a
I know
decent audio
we
setup,
didn't
you
even
can be
talk
on the
about the
show.
TV side of it either, but I'm going to save that for the next time
Mm.
because you also do a TV side, and I'm trying to get into that. I'm trying to work my way into doing a TV review series as well. But
That's
we'll
on
cover that
our
next time.
that's on our Patreon for our listeners. We did leave a preview in the main feed where we talk about that
Yes, I
stuff.
listened to that Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
I really like that. Yeah, I
we're
really
having a
like
lot of
that.
fun with that because every one of those episodes is guaranteed to have a skit. And
Oh,
because it's the 50s, we decided every skit is going to be a commercial for an item or service that is given in one of the two episodes being covered. So if you ever saw the episode The Lonely, where the guy on the prison asteroid gets a robot girlfriend,
yeah,
we
yeah.
decided we did a commercial for the robot girlfriend.
Oh, really? Gene Marsh. Great
Yeah.
episode. Great episode.
So Alicia really fucking nailed that. We even threw in
Uh,
like a little Elon Musk with the whole Grok thing. We got to throw that in there for fun.
It says here, I'll help with the next interview with Mike as long as Patrick's not there. You know, all you're doing, Eric, all you're doing is just making that fin all that much more harder. That's all. You're making that dorsal fin all that much more sharper.
Well, thanks for the vote of confidence that I rap better than you. I think because I
Uh,
have the audacity to try, Eric. I
yeah.
I mean, if you tried, it would probably be more entertaining than what I do because I try to be decent. You would probably just like steer into the skid, Mark, and just go.
Let me go ahead and get this wrapped up here. We are
Sure thing.
really rapidly running out of time here. Let me tell you what's happening next week on the program. On the 12th of August, we'll be welcoming Kansas City-based actor Kyle Ahmet, and we'll be joined by our special co-host. No, not Eric. It'll be Dylan Fon Harvey will be our special co-host on the 12th. On the 13th, we are welcoming in Steve. Now, I did ask him to be co-host for this one, but he said no. We'll be talking to Captain Steve of the Bucket of Chum a shark movie podcast. That's right. That's going to be a lot of fun too. I'll send you a reminder. You can come over and hang out and watch that. And then on the 19th, we're going to be meeting the young man who runs the Cryptid Paranormal YouTube channel. I love cryptids and like paranormal, so we'll be talking to him. On the 17th, we will be back here for our Midnight Society. We're going to be covering Cut Bank at 8 o'clock. We'll be joined by a panel of all-stars. And then on the 31st, Mary Wilson will be hosting the ISC Midnight Show. We will be discussing the movie Z. That movie is on Shudder, by the way, Shudder. And that actually might be the last show we do for a minute. Our friend Ben got seriously hurt, and so we're down 2 hosts, and so we might just let that one be the last one, and then wait till Ben gets better. Yeah, but thank you for everybody for showing up. Thank you, Eric, for taking time from your night to come out and hang out, and Corey and Jerry Wilson and who else popped in? A couple other. Hobbs is here. Thank you, Hobbs. And we'll make sure who else is on here. Simon Peter Gruber, thank you for coming in. Reading Sir Patrick and King Mike. I like that, King Mike. We'll keep that. We'll keep that. And Dale, of course, Dale Movies was here. He's a great YouTube channel as well. Super good content. Hoping to get invited back on his show sometime soon. All right, that is it. Mike, stay there for 1 second. And to everybody else from the on the chat, thank you for showing up. Thank you for your support. I wouldn't be here without you. And we will talk to you next Tuesday with Kyle Ahmet, and we'll be joined by Dylan Fon Harvey. Peace.